this computer. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another very interesting interview that we're doing on behalf of our center, the Center for the Advancement of Humanity. I didn't know if I would be able to have Mel come on and talk to us, but he has agreed, and we talked a little bit before we started our recording, and feels like I'm speaking to a brother and feels like somebody that I'm going to be talking to a lot going forward. And actually, I'm going to be on his podcast in a week on July 29th. This is July 22nd. So we're just going to do it as a conversation between brothers. This is part 2 of what I'm creating for the talking about the new financial system. We heard from Holly Celiano for part 1. Now we're going to hear from Mel Carmine from part 2. Mel's doing all kinds of amazing stuff. Mel, I want to welcome you to our interview and chat. Thank you so much for spending time to come on today.
Thank you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm very excited to have you and to learn from you as well, because I've been sort of doing these things behind the scenes that you're telling people to do. So, but we'll be getting into that when we get into the questions. So let me first read Mel's bio so you have a feel for who Mel is. So Mel is a Sicilian immigrant who moved to the United States in '72 as a toddler with his family, basically lived in New Jersey, on the New York border for about 20 years. And as an adult, then he moved into Florida, Belle Harbor, and Surfside, his home for over 20 years. Mel, I guess you've been an entrepreneur all your life. From age 11, you helped your dad in the pizzeria industry. And as the only member in the family who spoke fluent English, you had to translate for your father all the time. And eventually you were running the family business, dealing with accountants, lawyers, insurance companies, city hall, etc. So I guess that means you're not afraid to deal with anybody.
No, not at all.
The family business was good. The American dream was well on its way. And Mel has a great knack for dealing with people, entrepreneurs, sales consultants, and he likes being his own boss. And that's the sense I got when I talk with you and I see you doing all your interviews. And I'm the same way. I like to be my own boss, like to have my own experiences.
Yeah.
And if they don't work out, who do I blame? Myself. I can do it better next time. So now Mel resides in Costa Rica with his beautiful Filipino wife and their 2 wonderful stray canines. He's a fevered believer, as I am, so we're going to be talking a lot about this with Nassar and Jasara. And he became involved in digital assets some 6 years ago. I think I'm about the same as you, 2016. But he is really big on one of these known assets called XRP or Ripple. We'll be talking more about that in the interview. In less than a year, Mel has now created several Telegram channels and groups. He started his own podcast, which I've actually seen his podcast now, and he's discussing mostly on the podcast about the transfer of wealth that's going on. I call it a redistribution of wealth. And with the help of his wife, Amber, Susanna, his producer, who I worked with to set this up, and many Patriot volunteers, Mel is informing many, many people about the transition we're making to what's called the quantum financial system. If you've not heard about it, we will define it. We will also define cryptocurrencies too. There may be some people who are not sure about that, because there will be some key cryptocurrencies part of QFS. He also has several media channels talking about Jasara and Nassara, and he's got a following of over 90,000, which has continued to grow. That's very good. I couldn't even dream of doing something like that. So Mel is really on the ball there. His topics that he covers include ledgers, which I think are cold storage devices, quantum consciousness, which means getting into spirituality, as well as healing technology. So Mel, I welcome you, and we will make sure before we end that we get your information out, how to contact you, how to get on your podcast and your channels. And in the description of this video, we will also have all that information too, so people can contact Mel. So Mel, the first question I want to ask you is, I'm always curious, how do people get involved, like with QFS, Jasara, Nassar? How did that happen to you? And why do you believe that this is actually true, that this is going to happen?
Well, first of all, I'd like to start off by saying that we have tangible evidence that keeps coming in, because when you have 90,000, 95,000 people following and growing, and people are willing to show you physical documentation that's redacted to somewhat to protect their anonymity, and they show you that their student loans are gone and their car loans are gone. I got people calling me, telling me that they have friends that unfortunately don't want to come on camera, but their house mortgages have been forgiven. Now, it's happening in dribs and drabs in the United States, and I don't have any rhyme or reason as to how they're doing it. But the reality is this is happening. It's happening at a much faster pace in Russia, because the ruble is already backed by gold. And if you really dive into Russia, you'll understand that Russia may very well be the very first country to roll out Jassara and Nasara on a full scale. 7 years ago is really when I got involved with digital assets. I got involved with some mining. I was able to accumulate about 3 Bitcoins in the peak of the market in 2017. I sold them incrementally at the different levels, and we did pretty good with Bitcoin. I'm not going to complain. And we were able to understand that Bitcoin was definitely 100 trillion% not going to be the one. And we understood that proof of work doesn't work, and proof of stake was where it's at. And you can't compare a Model T Ford with a flying saucer. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So when we realized that, because I really, to be honest with you, my wife came at me at first, and she was nagging me, and you got to get XRP. Don't forget about the banks. She said, listen, forget the banks. If the banks get rich, you get rich. Put your money where the bank's putting their money. To me, that made sense. You know what I mean? And because I was like down with the man, down with these institutions, down with the banks. I wanted them out of our lives. In a way, I loathe those institutions with a passion that I can't even begin to explain. But the fact is that, when she said that to me, just to shut her the hell up, I gave her $50. I said, okay, buy $50. Because, XRP was like 0.00, something two, whatever, or I forget. But I remember buying $50 worth. I remember them giving me 12,500 XRPs for $50. That was way, way back then. And so we started to go down the rabbit hole, and we started to watch people that I don't even remember the names of their channels that are no longer here, that they have given up completely on XRP. And then I really got into, 4 years ago or so, I got into digital asset investor, digital perspectives, Crypto Eddie, all these people, wonderful people, Alex Cobb, and I started to learn as much as I could. And I became addicted. I became obsessed. I became possessed to wanting to know more about XRP, because I realized, holy shit, this is really the one. But I really thought for a long time that was the only one that was going to be on the field unopposed. In other words, I said, okay, here we go. We're going into a full new world order. We're going to get rich, but there's going to be a lot of people, unfortunately, that don't understand what this is. And then all of a sudden it hit me, because I saw another opponent on the field. And that opponent is Jassara Nasara. You don't go unopposed. I don't care if you're the New World Order. I don't care if you're George Soros and you have access to the printing presses and they're going to give you as much money as they want. Okay, to basically throw it into projects that are anti-humanity and goes against the patriots. There's always going to be somebody opposing you. So it's always good versus evil. The reason why I always say that Donald Trump, for example, is as cool as a cucumber, right? It's very simple, because when we go, and not if, but when, okay, this is absolutely, in my opinion, happening, and it's going to happen. When Donald Trump, rolls out Jassara and Nasara on a full scale, anybody who wants the universal basic income, I don't care if you're occupying the United States of America illegally, I don't care if you're occupying Poland illegally, you're going to have to get the hell out, because you're not going to be able to go to the government where you're occupying that country legally, say, I want my UBI. They're going to tell you, you want your UBI? Go back to your country of origin. And when you want to come back, you can come back, but you got to come back with documentation, with the proper way. And what do you bring to the table? You understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Can we step back a second here?
Sure.
Okay, the only reason I want to step back is because I think some people may not be following exactly what we're talking about. And we want to make sure by the time they finish this conversation, they know why XRP is so important.
Absolutely.
So Bitcoin is the first digital currency that comes out, what was it, like 2008, 2009. And it sounds like you and I got involved in it or in digital currencies around the same time, 2016, 2017. But
Right.
you saw that this currency called XRP, which is Ripple, that this was going to be a more stable digital currency than Bitcoin, because the key thing that people will always say to me is, well, these digital currencies, they're fine and they're nice. And, I know people have invested in them and made money and lost money, but they're not backed by anything that has a value. Now, I know in the new financial system, the digital currencies that are going to be left, which I understand will be at least 5 of them, they will all be backed by precious metals. And this is part of the reason why they are not going to disappear. Like Bitcoin, for example, this year, I guess at one point it was like almost 70,000 per Bitcoin. And now I don't know where it is. I didn't check it before I talked to you, but I think it's down 20 something. It went down tremendously. And most people are saying, especially those who talk about the new financial system, that it's probably going to go to zero. It's going to be one of them that's just going to disappear, that it was probably created by whatever you want to call them, the elite, the cabal or whatever, and they were the ones controlling the rise and fall of it. That's why you could never predict it. So it's kind of like the easiest way I can tell people how digital currencies work is how similar to like PayPal. Like we constantly have people who are buying things from us with PayPal. I never touch that money. It's a number that goes in my bank, then I use it for another number to pay for something else. So digital currencies, I think the easiest way to describe them, it's kind of like PayPal. It's a number, you have it, you can keep it, you can share it, whatever. And the thing that I love about Ripple, since I really started, whenever I had extra money, is in 5 seconds from Uphold, that money's in my wallet here on the computer, keeping it offline. And we're going to talk more about that too.
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about. If you're not sure you're following, we're talking about the digital currencies that were released like about 13 years ago or so, and where they've transgressed. But Mel is an expert on the ones that are going to be valuable coming forward. Okay, so
yeah, XRP, XLM, XDC, the ISOs. Those are the ones you need to invest in. Should you have some VeChain and some casino coin? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Look, when you look at it logically, every time there's like a meeting of, the Central Bank of England, the Central Bank of Europe, the Central Bank of whatever, the G20, the G7, the G30, who's invited? Every time. It's never the CEO of Bitcoin. Doesn't even exist, for example.
Right.
There's, Satoshi Nakamoto is the elusive guy that we'll get to in a little bit. But the reality is, who's there every single time? Ripple. Every single time. That alone has got to get you scratching your head saying, wait a minute, who got invited to go to Antarctica to go talk to some people that are maybe not from around here that would like to see this planet thrive? Mm-hmm. Right. Christine Lagarde, Brad Garlinghouse, and David Schwartz, a.k.a. Satoshi Nakamoto. That's who got invited. Nobody else. Out of 15,900 tokens, nobody gets invited. Only us, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gotcha. The lawsuit, out of 15,900 tokens, only us.
Yeah.
Are you starting to get the picture? They don't want you to look at it. If they could take it down to 2 cents and shake you out, they will. Don't do it. What you do is buy some more.
Right. So,
just keep buying and buying until the cows come home. And yes, if you have too much money, give some of it away or start some charities. Help out as many people as you can, because that's what the world we're going into is going to be. It's not about me, like the 7,200 multi-billionaires and trillionaires you got right now. Right. It's about us changing the world. Right now, you got 7,200 multi-billionaires, multi-trillionaires that are as greedy as you know what. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they don't do absolutely nothing for humanity. It's all about me. It's about my collection of yachts. It's about my collection of airplanes, my collection of homes and artwork. And meanwhile, you got people sleeping on a sidewalk on some mattress that somebody else threw away. I have a problem with that. I don't want the wants and the want-nots. I want everybody to have.
Right.
What do you call them? Haves and the have-nots, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's go back to Jassara and Nassara. So can you
Sure.
explain very simply, because again, you're more expert on this than I am. What are these new economic systems? How Ripple and XLM and these 5 coins that we briefly discussed, how are they going to interface in that system?
Yeah, well, we created a website called QFS1776.com. It's a brilliant name. My wife came up with the name. I didn't. I would love to take credit for it, but I can't. Okay. So when you go at the top, the very first video, it says, and it's very elementary. It's the most elementary videos. We put them in a chronological order that nothing about digital assets. And you go through, and let's call them by its right name. Let's not call them cryptos. They're not cryptos. Cryptos is what the cabal wants for us. They want us in the crypt. They want you dead, and they want your money. Okay? Don't give them the satisfaction. Give them zero energy. So we put together this manual, which got hundreds and hundreds of videos that are the most highly they're scattered all over the internet. What we did is we put it together in a little neat package so that we make it easy for you, right?
Good.
The only thing you have to do is apply yourself. We're not going to sit here and spoon feed it to you because we don't have the time. We got, 0.000001 of the world's population is in digital assets. That's about 160 million to be exact. The rest of the world is still yet to get here. See, my audience, this is more for your audience, Joshua, than mine. My audience knows this stuff inside out, backwards, and sideways.
Right.
Your audience is just now learning about it. So you got to immerse yourself in the information. We give it to you free of charge. Yeah, if you want to buy a shirt from us, that's fine. I'll say thank you in advance. But the reality and the facts are, it is priceless because of the educational value, because of the elementary, because of value, because of the way we put it in a chronological order that makes absolute perfect sense. I got people from Germany, from Sweden, Australia, New Zealand calling me, say, can I copy your website? Knock yourself out. I'm not here to save the world by myself.
Right.
Knock yourself out. Absolutely. By all means, call it whatever. Translate it in German, translate it in Swedish, translate it in whatever, Italian. Let's go. Let's take, let's do this because we're not going back to the old system. When they burn down the old system, there's nothing to go back to. It's not like you have a choice. You got to do this, period. Okay. So, because I think these multi-billionaires that are coming, the new financial wealth, which is the biggest system ever. Okay. Because of the fact that people are going to have so much on a one-to-one basis, the multi-billionaires and trillionaires that are coming from this new system, because after this, in 20, 30 years, money's going to disappear. And I'll get into that in a little while. But the reality is, you're going to have so much that you'll have no choice. You have to, give it away or start charities because it's just an overwhelming abundance. And gold is not going to back XRP. Silver is not going to back XLM. It's going to be the other way around. A certain amount of that gold is going to be allocated to what's called supposedly the rainbow currency. Now, I have never seen the rainbow currency, but if you work in a bank and you accidentally stumble across a few pallets of this stuff, would you kindly take some videos and send it to us? Because anybody with a little bit of design talent, okay, graphics talent could create a rainbow currency and put it on the internet. Nobody has ever seen a pallet or a video of a pallet of this monetary system. I want to know that it's real.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that, Jassara and Nassara, like I said, when I started to do research on Jassara and Nassara, there was no doubt in my mind that XRP is going to be the bus that drives Jassara and Nassara. Like I was saying earlier, I tell the story sort of like Pulp Fiction. So you got to get used to it. I keep going back and forth and you got to piece it in your mind. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit complicated. But the reality is that the gold is going to be digitized. You ever hear of the tokenization of things, Joshua?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay. Why would the gold back XRP? Gold itself is not a technology. Mm-hmm. Gold is just gold. You can put it in televisions. Yes. Does it have a use case? Yes. Does silver have a use case? Yes. But I believe XRP is going to digitize the gold. Okay. They're going to put and they got so much. They got quintillions and quintillions and quintillions. There's an infinity of gold because this has been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years that they've been stealing the gold. That's why the tunnel from the Vatican to Jerusalem was 1,500 kilometers long, 30 meters wide, 30 meters high, packed with bricks of 24 karat gold, solid. Okay. Do you know how much gold that is? The reality is, I've been told, because it's such an enormous amount, that they're still flying it into the United States today. And it's not in Fort Knox, it's in Cheyenne Mountain. Now, going to XLM. XLM is going to digitize what? The silver.
Yeah.
Okay, because XLM is the one that can, the blockchain. Okay. You cannot. This is why there's a struggle, Joshua. Does it make sense that they're manipulating a market? Yes. They don't want me and you to have it because they haven't figured out how to carve a bigger piece for themselves because they're what? Greedy. Greedy as you know what. Okay. And there's the struggle. And the boys from Wall Street and the bankers around the world, they're all in on it together with the politicians that we're going to hopefully at some point get them off planet because they're starting to break my balls, if you know what I mean. All right. We got to get them off planet to get to where we need to go. You cannot have Jassara and Nasara exist with evil. It's either it's one team or the other team. Somebody's got to win and someone's got to lose. And I'm telling you, Jassara and Nasara, XRP, the quantum financial system, not the global reset. We're winning like 900,000 to nothing.
Yeah. Have you heard the quantum financial system, which is supposed to be some kind of living computer, I would call it, that it was a gift from galactic beings for us?
Yes. And so is XRP. XRP's been around for about 500 million years, according to Ishmael Press. Yeah. It was given to us as a gift. Okay. See, because if you go, let's go to the beginning of time. Let's go back to 1988.
Okay.
In 1988, a gentleman by the name of David Schwartz puts a patent on blockchain technology. True story. You can go look it up. He actually patented blockchain technology in an era where we have what? Dial-up internet. It's a, you can make a lasagna and a bologna sandwich and a milkshake, and you come back and the page is still not loaded. That technology, well, that technology with blockchain doesn't marry up too well.
No.
So blockchain was way ahead of its time. So we had to wait for the internet to do what? Catch up.
Right.
So when the internet finally caught up, he was working for who? DARPA. Is it possible that he's maybe one of the most brilliant programmers in the world? You betcha. You betcha. So in 2008, you fast forward, what happens? The housing bubble.
Right.
2009, what happens? Bitcoin is born. There are no coincidences.
Right.
There's none. They went to him. I'm sure I could speculate all day long, and I'm pretty sure I got this one down cold. Okay. I could tell you they probably went to him and say, listen, son, your country is in a lot of trouble, and you might have to create the next monetary system. With that, they created proof of work, Bitcoin. Proof of work doesn't work. The Lightning Network that they've been trying to build for 8 years,
right? Still
to get here. And they all swear it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was one a night, not last night. I will tell you, it's not coming because if they haven't been able to figure it out in 8 years, what are the chances of them figuring it out in the next 8? None.
Right.
Zilch, zero. Right. So with that, who's the only guy that can go back to the drawing board and fix Bitcoin? David Schwartz.
Right.
Satoshi Nakamoto, the elusive guy that nobody wants to acknowledge. Think about that for a second. Okay. So they know that proof of work doesn't work. They know 2 transactions per minute doesn't work. The scarcity is not a functionality. Hedge against inflation is not a functionality. XRP is 199,000 times more decentralized than Bitcoin. If you don't believe me, please, by all means, go to YouTube and punch in XRP more decentralized than Bitcoin. You're going to have a field day with videos that make absolute sense.
Right. That
we are the one, that we are more decentralized than Bitcoin will ever be. Okay. So you got proof of work doesn't work. You got 2 minutes transaction, two transactions per minute doesn't work. You got expensive fees. You got to wait hours, if not days, sometimes, depending on how busy the network is. I mean, according to Brad Kimes, he moved 1.5 Bitcoins, took him 6 hours, and it cost him $4,500.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in this world that we need things fast. Yep. XRP, on the other hand, is what? Scalable to 3.5 trillion transactions per second.
Right.
It's already been proven. If you go to YouTube and put in XRP scalable to 3.5 trillion transactions per second, you'll come up to a video by Working Money Channel. Brilliantly done. he talks about a gentleman by the name of Hodor. Who is Hodor? Hodor is this guy that we believe is another elusive guy, just like Satoshi, who I believe used to work for who? Ripple, the company.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And he wrote some impressive blogs about this. And then there's another gentleman that was interviewed by who? Dr. Charlie Ward, Rod Steele.
Right.
And he says 3.5. It's a 23-minute video that we have in our manual. Okay. He never talks about once XRP Ripple, but we know exactly what it is he's talking about. He doesn't call it 3.5 trillion transactions per second. He calls it that it could be amped up to 3.5 trillion frames per second, which is the same thing. We know he's talking about XRP Ripple. He's reading from official documentation, Jasara Nasara documentation on the show. We got the video in QFS1776.com.
Okay.
Right? Right. We got proof in spades. We are the one. Now you just got to buy it, put your digital assets on a ledger and put it in your underwear drawer or put it in your safe or whatever it is, and just wait, because you're going to be a gazillionaire. Even if you own 500 or 1,000 XRPs, you're going to be it's life-changing.
Okay, so let me validate what Mel is saying. So when I transfer my Ripple from Uphold, which is where I go to get it, which is in England, which lets me use my debit card to buy it immediately. Okay, I don't have to wait. Very low cost, they charge me for it. In 5 seconds, I send it to my wallet using Exodus, and I got it. And I can't believe it. Every time I have a smile on my face. It's so fast. And what they're talking about, my understanding is what they're talking about with QFS and the whole thing, it's going to be instantaneous. It's going to even be faster than that. And this means that all of our transactions that we'll be doing with each other will be instantaneous. You want to buy something, you're not going to have to wait to be approved or whatever. It's going to be an instantaneous purchase or transfer or exchange or whatever. Now, I want to ask you another question about which you've talked about with ledgers, and I'm talking about with cold storage. Cold storage just means you do not store your digital assets. I'll follow what you want to call them, Mel, because I agree that's not a good word that I used before. That's just what we were all taught to use. You do not want them on the internet, because they keep talking about on Telegram that the old internet system is eventually going to totally disappear. It means if your digital currencies are on the old internet system, that means they're going to vanish, right? They're going to be gone. You're going to lose everything. Now, there is one system that has come up for me on Telegram, which you're covering, and you're the only person I've been able to ask this question to, because nobody else I know knows this system, and I can't reach the guy who keeps talking about it. Whiplash is the name it goes by. It's Lobster. Everybody keeps telling me Lobster is going to be like the new Wall Street or whatever. But does that mean that if you have any of your XLM on Lobster, that they're going to protect it from you, or could it also be lost too when the internet goes down?
No, I don't believe it's going to go down, and I don't believe you're going to lose your assets that are sitting on your wallet. As long as you're the only one that has your key phrases and passwords and all of that, you're safe. We're waiting for the Protocol 19, Protocol 20, so that it stops being the wild, wild west. But I always put a disclaimer out there. Then, this is what blows my mind, is how these people who are a bunch of parakeets, who have no brain of their own, who have no mind of their own, that they call me a scam artist. I always say that 98% of all the assets on the Lobster right now, it's the wild, wild west. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't follow a guide, you're going to get crushed. You're going to get destroyed. What part of that do you parakeets not understand? You mindless worms.
Right.
Okay. I've been called everything I'm the most controversial pizza guy in the world. You understand that, right?
Yes,
okay?
I understand.
So the fact is that if you watch the Bonfire Guy videos, and we got it again in a QFS1776.com for your convenience. All right? I've already watched them 199 times each. I know this stuff by memory. And I could tell you emphatically, okay, when Trump was invited to go around the world Okay, let me back up for a second. Then I'm going to get back to that story. When Trump came down the escalators,
right,
to announce that he's going to run for president, and you got Ivana Trump. I'm sorry, not Ivanka Trump. Was his wife? What's his wife's name?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, Melania Trump, yeah, dressed in white, gorgeous dress. That has symbolism because we're all part of that letter in the alphabet that you're not allowed to mention because somebody thinks they own the language. Right. The 17th letter in the alphabet. And Trump is maybe 8 feet behind her going down the escalator, and there's a sign on the wall. What does that sign on the wall read?
Don't know.
Currency exchange.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Is it possible? I get chills talking about this. Is it possible that Donald Trump was working on Jassara Nassara before he even stepped into office? You betcha. Now, let's go back to the movie. Let's go back to the bonfire guy. Okay. Travels around the world. There's one that's like an hour and 43 minutes long. That's the one you should all watch over and over and over again, just like you watched The Godfather back in the 70s. Okay. Watch it over and over and over again. Get that in your mind because that when The Lobster just became popular like 2 years ago.
Right.
Okay. Nobody knew what the lobster was. I know a lobster that you eat, but when somebody says lobster, what are you talking about? Right. The lobster is going to be the new stock market. And we got to be very careful with our choice of words, as I like to use this video for YouTube. But the reality is, when he went around the world and he put all those files down on the table, again, this is for your audience. My audience knows this stuff verbatim. Okay. And they put those files down on the table.
Right.
And he basically said, we got you by the cojones.
Yeah.
We got you by the balls.
Yeah.
Capitulate. Sell all your stuff in the lobster. Now, doesn't matter whether they're statesmen, whether they're billionaires or trillionaires, whether they are corporations, they all have no choice. They have to capitulate. I believe these people have already been dealt with. You're watching a movie. Why? Because they are loyalists of Obama. They're a loyalist of Hillary Clinton. They're a loyalist of whoever. And if they said on mainstream media, hey, by the way, we took so-and-so down to the spa down in Castro territory, and we already did what we had to do with him, and they publicized that fact, there would be people burning down buildings and cars and beating up old ladies. And so to keep things calm, they put a clone or a robot.
Right.
And they've had the technology perfected before I was even born. Why? Because they've been in touch with people from other solar systems, 57 different species, before I was even born.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. If you don't believe me, my friend said to me on Telegram, when I first opened my Telegram, I had like maybe 700 people. And he said, if you don't believe me, Mel, I will send you the file. I said, how many pages is it? He said, 19,000.
Oh, phew.
And you know what? If he's willing to send me 19,000 pages, you know what I say? I'll take your word for it.
So you didn't see the file then? I
didn't see the file. I don't need to. If he's 19,000 pages, if it exists and there's CIA paperwork,
right,
and it's there, I'll take his word for it. I know there are people that will dive into that stuff that are, rabbit divers. Okay. They like to go down the rabbit holes as much as I do, or even more so. I like to watch a video. If there's a video, if there's 19,000 pages, that's maybe, 2-hour series and it's maybe, 18 videos, I'll do that all day long and sit there and kill my eyes. My eyes are not what they used to be. Age is catching up to me a little bit,
So did I hear you say that most of, I don't even know what you want to call it, the accounts on lobster being offered, you got to be
in the lobster, right? So you can go in for like 2 or 3 or 4 XLMs. XLM is what? 10 cents a piece today. So if you risk 4 XLMs, you're going to lose a whopping 40 cents. I'm a scammer. Yeah. Right. Me and Joshua are gonna take a little piece of, come on, give me a break, guys. Give me a break. That's why I bought the grandmothers, because the grandmothers will smack you upside the head. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the facts are that these people had no choice to capitulate, because we know what they did with those underground. You understand? Okay. Yeah, I can't use certain words. You guys are going to have to piece the dots together. All right. So because of that, and listen, The reason, like I said, why Trump is cool as a cucumber is he knows that when we roll out Jassar and Nassar, this is like, Jassar and Nassar is a big, big, big deal, and it's going to get off the ground. If it doesn't get off the ground under Trump, it will never get off the ground. But this is like a 2,000, 3,000-mile runway, and you got this sort of like airplane that's the size of like a mothership trying to get off the ground. You understand? We're not even full throttle yet. You'll know when we are. But when the UBI happens, when Jassar and Nassar happens, all these people have to go back to their country of origin. This is why he's so cool, hanging out on the golf course, playing golf. And he's got people handing him a cell phone saying, hey, Mr. Trump, Mr. Putin would like to talk to you. Hey, Mr. Trump, Xi Jinping's on the phone. And he's smiling.
Right.
Because he has got this. He's got this under control.
Right. Through any of your sources, have any of them discussed, or maybe you can't discuss it, I don't know who you talk to, about when Jassar and Nassar may start? Because some people think it's imminent.
It's started already, and it's a gradual thing. It's not one switch, it's many switches. And the people upstairs know everything. The people upstairs know exactly how much the ZIMs are going to be worth, how much the dinars are going to be worth, how much the XLMs are going to be worth, how much the XTC, XRP, all of it. Because they need to be those things a certain number to run the new world. I'll give you an example. Okay. And this is where people don't understand. And this is math. Math is like a pregnant woman. You're either pregnant or you ain't pregnant. You can't be almost pregnant, right?
Right.
Okay. So the bottom line becomes this. The old world, because if you look at my video, the very first video at the top that explains your XRP was built for $10,000, which is really $11,400. Old world, okay? Because when you take the amount of XRP that are sitting in escrow, controlled by who? Ripple, the company.
Right.
Right? And you look at the old world that we're going away from, okay? And you got 50 billion XRP, and you got 5 quadrillion conservatively. That's a very conservative number that moves every year between the derivatives market. This is the liquidity pools of the world. I'm describing them to you, folks. The derivatives market, the real estate market, government to government, corporation to corporation, moving money back and forth. The remittances market is the small stuff. The remittances market, which is $7 trillion a day business, there's about $47 trillion sitting in these Nostro Vostro accounts around the world so that they could do what? Commerce. But when you got something that moves as fast as XRP, guess what? You don't need $47 trillion sitting in Nostro Vostro accounts dormant, because we move at the speed of light. Right. Right? Right. So what I'm trying to tell you in short is that the old world was $5 quadrillion per year. 5. The new world that we're going into is going to be 50 quadrillion. Why? Because you got UBI, you got 1.8 billion people that are unbanked that are about to get what? Banked. And all that $6,000 a month UBI, Jassar and Nassar, has to travel through what? Through the XRP. Yeah. So it's going to be much more intense, and I'm going to explain that. Going back to the old world, 50 quadrillion. Let's say we never graduate out of the old world. We stay in the old world forever. 5 quadrillion a year divided by 50 billion XRP, which is the liquidity. The 5 quadrillion is the liquidity pool of the entire world currently right now. So you divide the 50 billion XRP that sits in escrow, which is already, by the way, merged with the treasury. I'm going to get to that in a second as well. All right. The 5 quadrillion divided by 50 billion, you come up with $100,000 XRP. That's old world. We're moving into a new world that's going to be at least 8 to 10x that. Yeah.
Plus, they say the prices of things are going to go down to 1955. Have you heard that?
Sure, because when you solve the liquidity crisis, when you solve the Nostro Vostro accounts, when you don't have to no longer hold $47 trillion dormant in banks around the world, of course, prices are going to go down. I don't think they're going to go down to 1950s. I think potentially 1970, 1975. Yes, I would listen. Because part of Jassar and Nassar is free energy technology, so gasoline is going to go away. Right. Okay, gasoline is going to go away. So, with that reality setting in, but let's say we're going to do gasoline for the next 10 years, just argument's sake. I wouldn't mind paying 30 cents a gallon for,
Exactly.
unleaded gasoline.
Right.
I wouldn't.
No, but I think it's going to be free energy. So it'll be all free.
I believe that that's part of it. I know that that's part of it. I think most of the people who are about to become very wealthy, who would have loved to own a Lamborghini in the old world. I mean, think about it. We're still driving cars that have inflated tires, rubber tires with air. Right. Are you kidding me? We should be flying machines. We've been held back by 1,000 years. We should be 1,000 years ahead of where we are right now.
Right. Exactly. Now, I know on some of your shows, this is just in case we have any listeners that are already holding XRP or XLM. Mm-hmm. You have spoken about what you think the price XRP is going to go to. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and why you think?
I suspect that we're going to be bought out because the institutions that are being left, meaning after this whole dust storm settles, mm-hmm. and the institutions do need the XRP. We got our hands on it by mistake, Joshua. We weren't supposed to own it.
Okay.
The reality is that the Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, they went to the bank, said, hey, listen, we're going into this new world. You guys are going to need this asset class. And they basically poo-pooed it. They said, get lost with this digital asset stuff. When they realized that, because the bankers at some point realized that they need digital assets. So they went and tried to copy XRP. And when they realized that the secret sauce recipe was so complicated and that the who's who of the who's who of the who's who, who's got any talent is already working for Ripple XRP, they went back and tried to get into, Brad Garlinghouse, which I call a gangster, and he is, okay? He's a gangster on the inside, a gangster for humanity, okay? When they went back to him and tried to get into his good graces, he said, don't worry about it. We're like a gangster. Don't worry about it. We're gonna create something called the CBDCs for you. Let me tell you, that was a bullshit story, and I'll tell you why. The CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, are never going to work, in my opinion. Why? Because when Joshua is worth $100 million or $200 million, and he could show proof of those funds, so here it is, the money never leaves his wallet, but because he actually proofed up, and he showed that he has the funds, the institutions of tomorrow, it creates something called leverage. And that leverage allows them to create money to lend out to who? To industry, whether it's a builder, whether it's manufacturing, whether somebody wants to buy a house or a car or a condo, anything. He gets 0.5% interest because he's got $100 million. 0.5% interest. You don't need to get a big interest when you got $100 million. Just a little bit will keep the rain off the roof just fine. You know what I mean? So with 0.5% on 100 million, you do the math. That's $5 million a month, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah, even if right.
Yeah. Okay. So you spend $5 million a month will put you in a position, Joshua, I hate to tell you, where you have to maybe open up another humanitarian project every 2-3 months, because it doesn't matter. Even if you're eating sushi that costs $2,000 a bite. You can't spend it. Correct?
Yes, that's true. You can. And I'm going to be building a lot of centers, so I hope that this is exactly what happens.
So what happens is this. So when you're making that interest, right, and you want to receive that interest, for example, in Casino Coin, which I believe is going to be worth quite a lot, maybe $50 to $100, or VeChain, or some of the other ones, or Legacy Coin, which is being used down in Argentina and down in Chile successfully, okay? The reality is you don't need the central bank digital currency, do you? Because you're getting paid $5 million a month in interest. And you're taking it in Casino Coin, you're taking it in VeChain, you're taking it in XRP, and there are local vendors in your neighborhood that have a QR code that is connected to what? Their receiving key of their wallet. And you could buy your pizza, your sushi, your dry cleaning services, your hardware store, your clothing store. They all accept it. You scan their code, you pay your bill, and you're done. Do I need a central bank digital currency? You understand why there is a struggle. This is the reason why the struggle, because if everybody can get their peace right now, we'd all be singing Kumbaya. We're done.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to move to a different direction.
Sure.
Because the prior person that I talked to was speaking about it from more of a spiritual perspective, how this was going to affect our world. Having this new financial system, that the advanced technology could actually be gifts from galactic beings that want to help us and want to bring peace and harmony. What is your take and what is your perspective looking at it from there?
You know, it's funny you say that, because when I started watching a lot of videos on XRP, and I didn't understand that Jassar Nassar was on the field, I used to watch a lot, and I still do to some extent, because I'm now busy doing my own podcast and I watch as much as I can. But Digital Asset Investor, Digital Perspectives, and Crypto Eddie, I used to watch a lot from these guys. And Crypto Eddie is this lady over in Japan. Wonderful person, very, very, very intelligent. I can't wait to actually do a podcast with her. There's talks of us doing that. But anyway, needless to say, you know, I learned a lot from them. But I'm trying to get to a point where one day Digital Asset Investor had an interview with a gentleman by the name of Greg Kidd. Greg Kidd, I'll tell you the story. He heard about Ripple XRP when it was like 0.0000 something of a penny. And he was one of the guys who sat on the board of the Federal Reserve. This is a multi-billionaire, right? He heard about it while he was playing a card game, poker. And he actually abruptly left the poker game and went to go talk to Ripple. He said, I want in. You don't have to pay me. I'm a multi-billionaire. Give me 1 billion XRP. He's the single largest holder, privately held holder of XRP. He owns one. You can go back and watch the video of Greg Kidd with Digital Asset Investor. What an incredible interview. And I went back and watched it because there was subliminal messages in that. And he was a big fan of what? Star Trek. And at one point in his interview, he calls it intergalactic money.
Wow.
Again, I get chills because there's no coincidences.
Right.
None.
Right.
None.
So if somebody, because I'm assuming people still have an opportunity, assuming what you're saying is correct, that eventually they're going to collect all the XRP to use it for the system. They're going to pay you handsomely. You've talked about like $50,000, $100,000.
Potentially $50,000 per XRP, potentially, according to Captain Kyle, as much as $250,000. You see, I believe all the stories about Bitcoin being $1 million per coin were really not about Bitcoin. We're really about XRP. But going into the new world, they're not going to use market cap to calculate what it's worth.
Yeah.
They have a new system that's coming because the old world, we're burning it down.
Right.
Okay. So that new system, we don't know what the calculation formula is, but is it possible? Because, you know, I interviewed, what's his name? Tim Wilcott. His family invented the very first camera 7 generations ago. I didn't even know I was interviewing this guy who was like, you know, part of the camera history. And he's on the show. And one day I was doing a show with Razor and some other person. And I said to that other guy, I says, by any chance, is there anybody else coming to the podcast? He said, oh, let me call my friend Tim. And he brings Tim Wilcott. Well, Tim Wilcott, very intelligent, very enlightened person. And he said, XRP is going to be a stupid 7-figure digit number.
Uh-huh.
And this piece, they extracted this piece and they put it on Twitter. And within 4 hours, it had like 38,000 hits.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was like literally viral, just like that.
Right.
Okay. And I believe that those stories about Bitcoin becoming a multi-million-dollar coin or $1 million coin were really about the one that we like to call XRP. We have to be patient. Right. They know, we know how valuable it is. They know. They know we believe that with every fiber of our being.
Mm-hmm.
They know that we are a bunch of bull mastiffs with a bone in our mouth, with rabies, and we're not going to let go.
Right. Gotcha.
They know.
So if one of the listeners says, wow, this sounds amazing, I believe Mel, I believe Joshua, they're really into XRP. I know of one source where people can get, I know in the US, it's been a problem, like Coinbase used to offer it, and then they stopped because of the case with the SEC, which I think it's already done. It's over with, but they haven't officially announced it, I guess. So do you have a source? Because I think I heard you on one of your broadcasts say that you
I have several sources. Yeah, I have several sources. I got several brokers that I can get you to. When you hear a lot of times, a lot of the original XRP army likes to throw some numbers around. Somebody just moved, 278 million XRP today. And these are all true. Mm-hmm. Or somebody purchased, 159 million XRP today. Mm-hmm. They usually buy it from my guy.
I see.
Okay. This is, they have over 300 employees. They're in several countries, et cetera. If you want to buy $10,000 worth or $10 million worth or $100 million worth, you come to a crazy nut job like me, and we'll get you as much as you want.
Okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll put your contact information. I'll make sure that I have it in the description. So if anybody wants to go through and contact you on that, and I will also list Uphold too as another source, because that may be for people who don't have a lot of money, but they want to start accumulating it. It's like, just as an example, I found Amazon has these little tiny surveys that you can do called MTurk. So I start doing them. I make $40, $50 a week. What did I do? I started buying XRP. I'd go to Uphold, buy XRP, and just hold it. So this is, I guess, what we're both recommending for people. You still have time to do it before, I guess, they're going to start collecting it and before it really gets to its true value. Because the last time I looked, it was like 37, 36 cents per each. Yeah. So you want to buy it now. You want to get it. You don't want to do anything with it. You want to hold on to it. And I guess you want to do it with a ledger or some wallet outside of the internet. Would that be correct? And in your website, you have all the information for people.
You want to get the wallets directly from our links, because our links will bring you directly to the manufacturer. I always tell the story, and it's true. Okay. You can look it up. Fact check me, okay? The reality is you can go to a link that you think it's Ledger, and there's maybe one syllable, one letter, or one thing that's different in that URL address, and you're going to the hacker's address, and they already purchased a bunch of these that have been opened, reprogrammed. As soon as you go to collect your money, they're there to collect your money faster than you can ever dream of. And billions with a B have been gone missing off of these things. So don't take any chances. Yeah, we make $4.22. I can barely buy a half a sushi roll for that. Okay, down below, that's your insurance policy. It doesn't matter whether you buy it through me or you buy it through him. You're still going to get the same price. Even if you do the exact, you're sure you're not being scammed. People don't pay attention. They click on stuff and they don't pay attention. And there's so many of these clone websites out there. Don't take any chances and take your money off the exchange. Down below on my video, because we're going to extract this, and you'll see the links. Go get yourself a couple of these, 2, 3. You don't want to drive your car down the highway without having a spare tire. Why would you do it with your financial future? All right.
So I'll make sure on this video for the people of the center that we have the links for Mel too, so that you'll be able to do the same. It's not really very difficult once you understand how things work. It's basically 2 pieces of information to send your currency to where you want it to go, which is basically a wallet address and what amount you want to send. And that's basically it. And but Ripple does have some kind of a ledger. I know on Uphold, I have to put it onto the ledger there before I can transfer it to my external wallet. So that's the only other extra step I saw.
And the ledger, by the way, the ledger that is created by Ripple XRP is the most advanced blockchain in the world. Okay. Voting is going to be done on there. This is the struggle, guys. They don't want, see, we're going into a world where they can no longer cheat, rape, and pillage. And they don't want that. They want to continue to cheat, rape, and pillage. And the new world that's coming, you can't do that anymore. And they know that's why they call it a trustless system.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They don't want a trustless system. They want a system that they can screw you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So to kind of summarize what we've talked about so far, there are only a few digital assets that will be used in the new system, which they're calling ISOs, that's the name given to them, called QFS, Quantum Financial System, a very sophisticated system, a system so sophisticated that when we have the right computers to work with it so that we can all log into it, not only will it be instantaneous, but it will recognize you and all your accounts, and no one, because of your DNA, this is what I heard, will be able to log into any of your accounts. It'll Absolutely. Be totally geared towards that. Yeah. Let's see, what else can we share? You have the ability right now that you can actually get these currencies if you're interested. I mean, some of you may already be doing digital currencies, so this would be very simple for you to just add new currencies that you'll be using. I'm going to highly recommend that you go to Mel's system. It's qfs1776.com. He has all the videos and everything. That's where you can get your education. You're not going to, I still think you're going to have time before all this starts taking place. I think we still have a couple of months before they're going to start throwing it. Now, Mel did mention, and I've seen this too, Russia seems to be like one of the first countries that's already going to Jasara because their rubles are backed by gold. I think China and India, there's this combination of countries, China, India, Brazil, Russia, and South Africa called BRICS, that they are definitely moving in that direction. They talk about this a lot on Telegram. So Mel's nodding, so he knows about this as well.
Yeah, the central bank digital currency that's going to work are the ones that are allocated to the yen and whatever it is they use down in Brazil and Venezuela. There's going to be central bank digital currency that are part of each country. But the banks, I hate to say it, listen, Tim Draper has said this, the late McAfee, which I don't believe he's late. The late McAfee, I think he's still alive.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. He has said this. Many people that are a lot smarter than me. The banks are finished. Once we unleash decentralized finance, DeFi, okay, at its fullest force, it's going to be good night, Irene, and they know it.
Right. So it's pretty much all your banking is going to be done on your mobile device, which I have no idea what the new mobile devices are going to be like, or the new computers, which will probably be 3D, I would imagine. And that's it. And you'll never have any problem whatsoever. Totally secure system. And I agree what Mel said, that going forward, we will lose all the paper currencies. It'll be all digital. And then I think eventually in the not too distant future, we won't have currencies at all because everything will be free or by barter exchange. And that's the way that they have it on the other worlds, if you're a believer in that. So
yeah, you'll have technology that will be able to give you whatever you want, whether you want the technology, you'll have technology in your kitchen that can make you a porterhouse steak.
Yeah.
Okay. Or give you the most delicious gelato that tastes as good as the one they make in Sicily. Right. And then you have replicators that can make you a flying machine or a house.
Yeah.
Or a pair of Italian leather boots or leather pocketbook, whatever you want. It's all coming. When that day and that reality sets in, you're not going to need money anymore, and you're not going to miss it.
Right.
So.
Right. And I guess the reason that we're going through this transition is because not everybody's prepared for that. Maybe you and I, Mel, we could say, yeah, we're ready for it. It could happen tomorrow, but most people are not. So it has to be a gradual process where we take people that are used to a system where you have money that you can touch and everything. And then over time, we will graduate and eventually we'll go to the place where you're talking about. That's what I see too.
Exactly. Shop locally, eat organic, support your local farmers market. Don't use Colgate toothpaste. Go out in the sun, put your feet in the grass. Okay, get grounded with the earth. clean your pineal gland. And then when we talk to you about this stuff, it won't be so foreign, I promise you, but you got to clean your pineal gland. You cannot continue to use scope and all these poisons. They want to, this has been a slow kill over the years. They want you sick. We have the ability, folks, without the med beds, without the technology that we have access to with Dr. Sandra Michael Rose, that I'm interviewing Saturday, which is, I believe, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. We have technologies that we're going to be able to live 300-400 years without the med beds. Yeah. I believe once the med beds get here, we could go, 1,000, 2,000 years old and still have an incredible libido and still look wonderful when you're, 1,572 years old.
Exactly. So we pretty much have an amazing world that's coming to all of us. This is what you'll find a lot of the videos are about, related to the center on our Rumble channel, trying to give people an idea of what the future might be like. So, but this is something that I think is going to come up fairly soon. So it's best to be prepared, best to understand it. So when they start announcing it, or you start seeing other countries already going to Jasara, that, you're not kind of like in shock. You just know that's the future. It's coming. It's so that it's fair. So all the currencies are equal in value to each other. So there's no poor people anymore. Everybody has the basic necessities of life, and everyone will have the freedom to do the things they really love to do. Okay. You won't have to work a job, just to make the money for it. You can do what we're going to be interviewing for our center once we have our funding. I'm going to be asking people, what makes your heart sing? That's what I want to hire you to do. So when people come into our center, they're going to have people that are going to be like children, running around doing what they love, helping everybody that comes in. This is the future.
The people that are trapped in this three-dimensional mindset cannot wrap they think, well, I had to work hard all my life, so that means you have to work. No, we're moving into a different world. If you are an artist by trade, for example, and you like to paint portraits of sceneries or portraits of people or portraits of hot rods, whatever floats your boat, okay? And you got $6,000 a month, and you probably maybe working for Joshua, maybe one of his humanitarian projects, because you're going to have to do something for that money. Then they're just going to hand you the money, okay? That's not here yet. We're not going into utopia. But you got so much more time on your hands, and you really enjoy painting. Instead of charging somebody for the stupid painting, give it away, and you'll get pleasure out of that. And maybe somebody else is into building hot rods. Maybe they'll build you a hot rod. You just supply the parts, and they'll do the labor free of charge, because they're also working for one of Joshua's other humanitarian projects. And he's also only working 20 hours a week. So he's bored. He's got to do something with his time. So he's building you a hot rod. He doesn't charge you for the labor. You buy the parts. He builds you your dune buggy or whatever, or your 1931 Ford, one of those hot rods with the big wheels in the back. Okay. And that's the way the world is going to work. Get used to it. Change is okay. Change for the better is okay.
Right. Exactly. So Mel, tell me, all these podcasts that you're doing, so the viewers understand, you're mostly focusing on the new financial system and
this is where they can find us right here. I'm going to hold up a sign. Okay. This is this channel here. Unfortunately, this channel here that ends with a 1, XRP QFS team TEAM #1 is in jail for another week or so. Okay. This one here is where we're going to be uploading the #2. Same identical. But it's got a #2 at the end. That's where we're going to be uploading this video. And then that is, in case you don't know how to find this, you go to QFS1776.com, and on the top right-hand side, in the, up in the bar, you will see all of the social medias where you can follow us at.
Okay. And that will also list to your Telegram channels, because that's where I find
down below my video. I'll have Amber shoot you. I think either Amber or Susanna has our Telegram channels. We can shoot that over to you, not a problem. Okay. And you can put those as well.
Right. Very good. So do you have any final words that you want to say to everyone?
No, other than just, I know it's a lot of information, and I know that there are a lot of people out there that are literally discouraged. Don't get discouraged. You're not going to eat this elephant, in one bite. You're going to have to sit down and eat a bite today, a bite tomorrow, and just dive in 2-3 hours a day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. you're going to have to consume the information. There's a lot of information. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's months and months and months of stuff that we've accumulated over the years, my wife and I. And we put it into this nice little neat package. It's so convenient for you because you don't have to go looking for it. It's right there. Boom, one package. Let's do this before we go. I want to get back to one last final thing. You know who Richard Citizen Journalist is, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're familiar with Nancy Drew?
Yes.
Okay. Recently, this was confirmed to me also by who? David Strait on one of my podcasts that I did with him. I had 18,000 subs, and that video got 177,000 hits.
Wow. Yeah,
okay.
David Strait is becoming very popular now.
Yeah, very, very popular. Well, he came to my show, and the very first thing I leaned into the camera and said, so tell me, is JFK Jr. still alive? And there was like a pause for like 17 seconds. And then he says, you know, you're not supposed to ask that question. And the people knew they were going for a ride, and they did. But the Treasury recently, like a few months ago, a bunch of buses and police cars pulled up. This was recorded by none other than Richard Citizen Journalist and Nancy Drew, which, by the way, I want to interview both of these guys. So if you ever come across my videos, contact Susanna. Her information is down below, and let's get it on. But what happened was they did an audit. They did an audit of what? The books. We know they've been cooking the books for a long time, but because we're going into a Nasara Jasara, okay, and we're getting close to D-Day, things are happening. Despite of whatever other people, just because you don't see it on CNN, that doesn't mean it's not happening. It's happening, okay? Their phones got confiscated. The videos got deleted. They almost went to prison or jail for recording it, okay? I suspect that whatever little was left from the Treasury, they merged it with whatever's left, a little left from the Federal Reserve and the IRS. The IRS is gone. The Federal Reserve is gone. The Treasury is gone. The FBI building is closed. The Department of Justice is closed. Nobody's home. Nobody's home. Go down to Washington, D.C. Go see it for yourself. Nobody is home.
Right.
Okay. I suspect that Ripple, because they are a very powerful company with billions of dollars, with offices all over the world, they could have moved to Singapore, or Japan, or Australia, or the United Kingdom, or Saudi Arabia. They didn't. Why? Because they're not allowed to. Somebody made them an offer they can't refuse. I believe that Ripple, that money, that XRP is worth so much money, that 50 billion that's sitting in escrow, that I believe that the XRP Ripple has merged with who? The Treasury. And they're going to become the new IMF, the lender of last resort. Mm-hmm. You understand how powerful this is? Now, there's also another side of the token that maybe they don't want to move away because they realize that no matter what happens, the United States, when this whole shitstorm blows over, the United States of America, make no mistake about it, will always be the superpower of the world. And no, we're not going to fall into communism.
Mm-hmm. No, we won't. Okay.
I'll leave it with that.
All right. That's a pretty powerful statement to leave it with. So I appreciate, Mel, you taking the time to talk to us and share your perspective on things related to the new financial system. Of course, the way that Mel is discussing it is completely different than how Holly discussed it, but I did that intentionally so you would have two different perspectives on it. You know, either looking at it, let's say, more spiritually, or looking at the nuts and bolts about what's going on. What do you have to do to prepare? Mel's website will definitely help you, which he shared with you, and I will share in the description of this video as well, how to do it. Last thing I'm going to put on there so your viewers will get it, or maybe you'll put it in your description as well. For our center, if you're interested to know more about the Center for the Advancement of Humanity, the easiest thing to do, because we're just on the internet and we're just basically sharing information, would probably be contact me via my email. And that is crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com, Joshua Shapiro. And from there, I can give you all the links, our Telegram, all of our videos, if you want to see some of the other videos that we have, etc. And again, all that information about the center, how to contact me, how to contact Mel, will be in the description of this video so that you can do it. Mel,
if they want to get to our Telegram, just by going to qfs1776.com, all the links up in the top right hand side on the bar. You can't miss it. Just click on it and join our Telegram, join our social media. By all means, please. Right. Thank you.
Right. And I suggest that you do that so that you can keep up to date on what's going on in the world, because it's happening very fast right now and a lot of things are going on. And I have to go on Telegram every day to get my news. So it's the best place to go. Mel, thank you so much. It's been an honor and privilege. And I look forward to being your guest in about a week. And we'll be talking about our center and some more things and educating people. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, Joshua. It was an absolute pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, Mel. You have a great day now. And
bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.